President Jacob Zuma has called for unity in SADTU and in the tripartite alliance. He spoke at the union's 8th National Congress in Johannesburg. The Congress is regarded as the union's highest decision-making body. This is where its new leadership will be elected and new resolutions will be adopted. The dismissal of SADTU President Thobile Ntola has caused divisions, and there are reports of a possible splinter union being formed.
The strength of the organization, any organization, is how it manages to deal with its problems and succeed. That defines the strength of an organization. I think it will be in our final day that we'll see the strength of SADTU. And I'm very confident you will do so. I wish this Congress successful deliberations as you move South Africa forward through quality education.
Well, for more from the conference, Faith Daniels joins us now. She's on the line. Faith, the President just delivering his opening address at the Congress, and unity seemingly the central focus of what he had to say.
Indeed, Natasha, and that unity message came through very, very strongly from President Jacob Zuma. He was saying to the SADTU delegation here that as they deliberate, that he urged them to focus on the unity of SADTU. Of course, at present, that is very, very relevant to a union that is at odds with itself. We've seen in recent times that the KZN branch, the Eastern Cape, they've taken their own union to court. And the president saying that these skirmishes, these disunity, the fact that they cannot stand as a united front will harm them in the long run. And of course, President Zuma also going further, saying that it's not just SADTU, but also COSATU that has its own challenges. And he was saying that the revolution, within the revolution, they face challenges, and that it is how they respond in terms of uniting that they will overcome these challenges. And he's urged these teachers here to really focus on how they reunite, because it is quite clear that the friction and the tension in the union is quite real.
So, Faith, he's urged unity, but how was his message actually received in light of talks of the possible splinter group from SADTU?
The message was welcomed, Natasha, by the 1,500 delegates that are attending this conference. But of course, while we were speaking to a lot of these delegates who, to the run-up to this Congress, and also the Secretary General, Mugwena Maluleka, he was very candid in saying that the union really is at its lowest point ever, and that this is really a meeting to discuss how, if at all, they go forward with the reports of the splinter group, with the reports of people wanting to break away. But he was very, very clear also this morning, saying that people who were not invited to this conference, people who are whose sole aim it is to disrupt the proceedings, there will not be allowed. Of course, we know that the Eastern Cape leadership, the KZN leadership, the court battles, the ongoing court battles, those were some of the delegates that have not been invited to these proceedings. And Mugwena Maluleka is saying that they should not even try and rock up here and disrupt proceedings, because they will be dealt with.
All right, Faith, let's look at the proceedings. Union, you say, is at its lowest point, in education on a whole battling a number of issues. So just take us through very briefly some of the key issues under discussion this year.
Well, some of the key issues are, Natasha, we've seen recently the national assessments being done. SADTU has very clear views on that, saying that they're not in favor of how it's being dealt with and how kids are being assessed across the board without the real input of teachers. They're saying that they have not been consulted really as a stakeholder when that was concerned. We know that those national assessment tests that test the maths and the numeracy and literacy of children, of course, have been done last week. And SADTU saying, well, they would want to be known in certain aspects of how the national assessments are being done. They would want their teachers to be more involved and to be known in the decision making. Another point of contention here is, I mean, we've mentioned the splinter group and the possible breakaway. That is actually on their agenda. And of course, it's going to form part of that message that the president also punted today, where he said that SADTU must unify. And they've actually put it on the agenda as a point that they need to discuss amongst themselves. The last point, the key point that is also on the agenda is the redeployment of teachers. And that is crucial because we've seen in the last week in the Eastern Cape that the basic education department there, they've made the decision that additional teachers will not be hired, but that teachers in their system will be redeployed to areas where they are necessary. And SADTU is saying, well, that is basically a labor issue, and that you cannot just make that decision without informing the unions, without having the necessary conversation with them in terms of how you are going to do this and whether the teachers who are going to be redeployed, whether they will be remunerated.
All right, Faith, thank you very much. We'll leave it there. Faith Daniels live from the SADTU conference in Johannesburg.